Macros and calories are the same thing, but they're measured in different units. 1 gram of carbohydrate equals 4 calories. 1 gram of a protein gram equals 4 calories. 1 gram of a fat gram equals 9 calories. So if you've got, let's say, 10 grams of carbohydrate left at the end of the day, and you're like, what can I eat? Think about it this way: multiply 10 by 4, that equals you have 40 calories left. And maybe oh, I can have that. I know that's 40 calories. And then you just log it in your My Macro. Thing about doing the calories, that's part of an old diet mentality, and we have a reflex to that. Ultimately, we're looking for a calorie deficit to lose fat and build muscle. We still have to eat. We have to find the sweet spot between eating enough to build muscle, but eating in a calorie deficit to lose the fat. And 50 grams of carbohydrate times 4, that's 200 calories. So you're cutting it down 200 calories a week to see, okay, is my fat loss moving? Am I still feeling like I'm gaining muscle? And this equation we always hear about, 3,200 calories equals 1 pound, is sort of a strange equation, because there's so many other things going on with fat loss and losing inches. And you might think, wow, 200 calories a week, how many weeks is going to take me to lose a pound doing that? It's really not how it works. It's really with the weight training, the cardio, and the tracking consistently of food, your body changes, your metabolism changes, and it ends up using the food way more efficiently. If you're doing 5 meals a day, definitely the same amount of protein at each of those meals. The fat can be the same, or you can do a little more at night when you're doing less carbs. There are certain days that, like my husband and I went to a restaurant a few days ago. It was a Cuban restaurant, and I looked at the menu the day before to figure out what they had that I could work into my macros and what sounded good. And after I figured that out, that morning, I saved some macros for that nighttime restaurant meal so that I didn't go over. So those kinds of strategies you'll get used to, and it won't be so hard. But you do want to you want to dose yourself like medicine. Food, you dose yourself with, nutrient dense foods throughout the day. Your body's going to love it. It's going to respond. Good question, because that goes right into a very important topic, which is food prep. Food prep. So bodybuilders, and really what this is we're acting like bodybuilders. We're learning what works to get fit from bodybuilders. And what bodybuilders do is they pick 1 or 2 days a week where they food prep. So I always tell my husband, because he goes to the grocery store. He likes grocery stores. I tell him, buy salmon, ground beef, chicken, and cod. And then maybe on the weekend, sometimes a day during the week, I will cook the ground beef and the cod. So I've got my protein for at least 5 days. And I might cut up fresh vegetables and have them all ready to go in Tupperware in the refrigerator. The other thing I do is I air fry sweet potatoes. I cut them up into fries and I air fry them without any oil. And then I just heat them up when I'm ready to eat. So I've got food prepared in the refrigerator for the whole week. So I'm not standing at the end of the day like my husband does and opens the refrigerator and it's like, what am I going to eat? And then he'll just run out and get a pizza. And I always tell him, you can have what I'm having, but he wants different food, but he's not a planner. So you have to food prep. You have to pick 1 or 2 days a week where you get food prepared and ready to eat. And one of the things that I find myself doing is I eat the same things a lot over and over again. I don't get tired of it because my body enjoys it. I might change the spices or a little bit of dressing. So there's certain dressings you can put on food, commercial dressings like P.F. Chang teriyaki sauce, or hoisin sauce, which has a little sweetness and spicy. And if you work it into your macros, it's great on rice or chicken or whatever. You just don't like drown it. Maybe you just drizzle on there and you count it. So you can change the taste of food to make it interesting. But I kind of eat the same things all the time. I have cod all the time because it's high protein and low fat. On days where I feel like I want to get more fat, I have salmon and less butter on my oatmeal. Ground beef, also I eat maybe once a week. I always have chicken. I always have my protein in the fridge ready to go. It's already cooked. So food prep is super important. So here are some nutrition labels. This first one is the salty small rice cakes. The second one is plain old chicken. And then the third one is the black bean vegan burgers. A lot of times on packaging on the front, like the black bean burgers, what they had on the front of the packaging was 9 grams of protein. And you can see right here, 9 grams of protein. They don't say also 4.5 grams of fat, which isn't bad, but they also don't say 13 grams of carb. So it's always best to turn the package over and read what it says on the back. And what I want you guys to understand about grams and macros, there's always grams and grams. That's what confuses a lot of people. So there's grams in terms of the weight, the metric unit of weight of a food item. So an average apple weighs 125 grams. You put it on the food scale, that's how much it weighs. That's grams in weight. And then there's also grams as a unit of energy that we receive from the food, which is different than the gram weight. However, the gram energy is dependent on how many grams of weight. So an apple weighing 125 grams has 17 grams of carbohydrate. So it's got the weight metric of grams and the energy metric of grams. So it's really, that's where the calories come in too. Calories are like the thermic effect of food. How much energy does it take to burn that many calories? It's the same as how much energy does it take to burn that many grams of carbohydrate, which is 17 in an average apple that weighs 125 grams. So that actually gets people a little confused sometimes, because grams can be weight, food weight, and it can be a unit of energy. And the unit of energy and the gram weight, those both are what we're concerned about. We want to be sure that we're paying attention to both. So let's just look at a label here for a minute. Nutrition facts. And in the US, these have to be on all packaging, the nutrition facts. Everyone says, read labels, read labels. And a lot of times, if you're on a normal diet that doesn't work, they'll tell you, read the label. And all we read is how many calories. We don't care about anything else. It's like, oh, 13 pieces of this salty snack is 140 calories. And so we plug in the number. We just plug in the number. We don't plug in fat, carb, and protein. And that information is always on packaging. So the total fat grams here's the weight. So 1 serving of those salty crunchy snack, little mini rice cakes, 13 pieces or 30 grams in weight. So I would take out enough of these and put them on a food scale. And when it hits 30 grams, I plug that into my macros, and I know that that serving is giving me 5 grams of fat, 23 grams of carb, and 2 grams of protein. And I plug that in instead of 140 calories, put it on top of the pile with all the other numbers, because all those numbers that add up to that diet that didn't work of 1,200 calories, you could have 1,000 calories worth of fat grams and 100 of protein, 100 of carb. That's not healthy. That's not helping your body. So what a macronutrient or a macro plan and macro tracking does, it says, okay, let's take this food, let's weigh it, and according to this many grams weight, this is what you're going to get in fat grams, carb grams, and protein grams. So it breaks it down into its macronutrient makeup that fuels your body in a specific way. So it fuels your body for pre-workout, post-workout, rest days. You know exactly what you're getting when. And this is where blood sugar being level and not, up and down becomes really important. Because if you're feeding yourself the same amount of protein grams 5 times a day, if you're eating 5 times a day, 4 times a day, 3 times a day, doesn't matter, whatever works for you. And you balance that with your fats, and then your carbohydrates, you build the biggest portions of carbohydrate grams before and after your workout. Your body's going to love it, and it's going to have the glycogen in your muscles to use when you're working out. So this is really an inside look at the food that we're eating. So if we look at this is chicken ingredients, chicken. These were just chicken breasts with skin. And I always air fry my chicken breasts, and then I eat it without the skin. So the skin is an extra layer of fat. So it might not have that amount of total fat if I don't eat it with the skin. But, someone might say, oh, a chicken breast and it weighs 112 grams. That's a serving size, or 4 ounces, 140 calories. And if you just put that on your calorie pile and just added the numbers, you don't know how many fat grams, carb grams, protein grams are in that. And with the chicken breast, it's very high protein. So we're looking at 26 grams of protein, 1 gram of carbs. So it's a great protein source. And I would imagine if you eat it with the skin, you're going to get about 3 grams of fat. So to me, that is the magic of macros.